At this time, the chair calls Dr. Pat Rios. Mayor.
Not doctor.
Oh, I thought you said you were a doctor.
You're the doctor.
Oh, okay. I'm misunderstood. I'm sorry. Mayor Pat Rios.
I could play one on the weekend.
Okay, very good. No problem. Sorry. I'd also like to acknowledge that Representative Thompson has joined us.
Well, Chairman Oliverson and distinguished committee members and staff and TWIA representatives, again, my name is Patrick Rios, and I serve as the mayor of Rockport. I want to thank you for allowing me to address this committee. A little over 4 years ago, Rockport was ground zero for Hurricane Harvey. John Metz, who's the chief meteorologist at the time, Corpus Christi, said Rockport spent 11 and a half hours in front of a fire hose. He was correct, and I've actually scratched writing out a Category 4 hurricane off my bucket list. Our committee has shown an incredible amount of courage. We're building in a more resilient manner so that we can withstand the next hurricane, because there will be one. Don't know when, but we know it's coming. And our people are proud of our accomplishments. We, however, have a long, long way to go. And I'm positive, I'm certain that many of you have been to Rockport, and some of you may even own property there or have friends and relatives that own property there. But I want to make sure that you don't mistake all those beautiful waterfront homes and mega dollar boats with the entirety of Rockport. 71% of the kids in our school district live at or below the poverty level. 71%. Our community is a retirement community, basically, that's funded by tourism. We have very little middle class. We're pretty much a barbell. A lot of retirees, Fortune 500 executives, flag level staff officer, military officers retired there. It's a wonderful place, but we do have to remember that the rank and file of our community are everyday people that need help. And the regular TWIA policyholder in Rockport may be someone living on a fixed income, retirement income, or it may be a two-family mom and dad working at barely above minimum wage or living, barely above minimum wage jobs, trying to support families. These people, they're Rockport, and they may not be sophisticated enough to understand all the intricacies of TWIA. They have trouble with deductibles, policy limitations. They have a difficult time filing a claim, much less working with the different claims analysts that come through. When Harvey hit, we were inundated by adjusters from all over the United States. And I understand they had lots of training, but I don't think they really had and understood the city of Rockport itself. They came in some instances, we had policy owners that were dealing with 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different adjusters. We had neighbors that had the same adjuster that were given different advice and different recommendations on coverages. It was a turmoil. The only consistent thing was a lot of inconsistency at the time. A lot of poor communications. The adjuster I worked with was an individual out of California that was a former NFL football player many, many years ago. And all he wanted to talk about was fishing. And the other thing he spent time was telling me what wasn't covered under the policy. And I also want you to consider the current issues in Rockport. Since and including Hurricane Harvey, which was just a little over 4 years ago, we have had 9 declared disasters. 9. We've had the effects of 3 hurricanes, a tropical storm, the COVID pandemic, and Winter Storm Uri. And these disasters have taken a huge mental and financial toll on our community. 3 of these disasters have occurred since January 1st in Rockport. We've had 3 floods. This last flood on my street, we had 29 inches of rain. So people lost personal property, homes are destroyed. The city right now is full of potholes. Streets are miserable. the overall general mental health of the public is not that good. We've had a contentious cycle of elections last fall. There's lots and lots of financial hardship in the community for those people that aren't retired and doing well. We're talking again about the basis, the foundation of the City of Rockport. We're just now getting workforce housing opened and able to have people come back and work. As it is all over the country, our restaurants aren't able to open 6-7 days a week. They're closing at 2 o'clock. They're taking different, some days they plan on opening but can't because they don't have help. And I think what I'm trying to say is right now a rate increase would have tremendous mental and financial, would cause tremendous mental and financial disaster for many, many of our folks. Now, if it's your second or third home in Rockport, I don't think you're going to be too concerned about that. But these people that could possibly not be able to afford a rate increase are not going to help themselves in the event of another hurricane, and they're not going to help the pool. I mean, the insurance pool is numbers. It's how many people we put in there and how much premium is collected. If you have people drop out, someone else is going to have to pick up that slack, which means another rate increase. You know, I would almost think that we could call our current inflation rate the 10th disaster. You know, let's study the proposed rate increases from the viewpoint of our citizens. Inflation's out of control. In less than 1 year, we've seen huge increases in the price of milk, eggs, bread, gasoline. Everything is less affordable than before. Healthcare costs are spiraling out of control. And don't forget, while a 5% increase on windstorm premium is a small number compared to a 40% increase on the gallon of gasoline, the number is huge. I mean, in my case, it would be $400 a year in an increase. And with what added value? There's no added value there for that money. At least, you know, when you see the tremendous increases in the cost of automobiles, at least you're getting backup cameras and you're getting radar and you're getting lots of things. But on this, you're getting nothing for that increase. Homeowners policies have doubled in 2 years. Again, in my case, we went from paying $1,000 a year to now it's $1,500 a year. So you take all these little increases up and you look at everyone. And my wife and I are fortunate. We're not worried about that. But what I worry about, again, are our citizens, our people that aren't as lucky, that haven't been as blessed. And what I'd like to see is some creative thinking in TWIA. You know, I'm confused on how many of the areas to our north aren't required to carry TWIA policies. They're covered by regular homeowners policies. And yet they're just as susceptible to a hurricane damage, rain, tornadoes, flooding as we are. But, you know, they don't have to have TWIA coverage in some of these areas. And I know one thing. I know I don't have the answers. But maybe we should try looking, as Representative Paul has talked about, looking at some of these carriers and try to maybe work on developing a hybrid. Not sure exactly how that would work. But there's different ways. We've got to be creative and sit down and talk to the carriers and see who's interested in working with us. You know, I don't know. Maybe there's a surcharge on all the coverages throughout the state of Texas where they look at $10 or $15 a year addition to their policy that could help people in the community. I certainly don't have the answers, but I'm willing to sit down with people and help. I'll jump in if you want me to and work with people. It's not going to be easy. But if Texans ever run away from anything that's difficult, we never have, and I don't believe we ever will. And again, we're all Texans, and Texans help each other. And that's what we need to think about doing right now. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Be happy to answer any questions if you like.
Mayor, thank you for being here today, and thank you for representing the people of Rockport. I guess you and I had a chance to visit a little bit, and I guess what I heard you say is that we still haven't fully recovered from where we were pre-Harvey, and got some bridges to build and some things that are just not done yet.
We have we lost our city hall in Harvey. We lost our county courthouse. Right now, the county courthouse is operating out of an old Ace hardware store in the shopping center. They're holding court calls and jury summonses at the high school auditorium. We're working out of the, again, we lost City Hall. We hold our city council meetings at the Rockport Service Center. We've displaced employees that officed in there. We work in a training room. Public comes to meetings and they complain about not being able to hear or not be able to see. Well, that is not a city hall. We're working on that. We're getting there. We've got.
Was that building insured by TWIA? Do you know, or?
No, we had other insurance.
Okay, so I'm just curious to know if there are situations in your community where we have unresolved issues, claims and such, and people are still not able to rebuild their lives as a result.
There are some, on the individual side, there are a lot of people whose residences have not been rebuilt yet that are still battling with TWIA. The numbers come down a lot, but I do know that there's a lot of people out there that still have claims.
Okay.
Some people found out that the coverage was not adequate enough, and they just walked away from the property. They took whatever proceeds they got and left, and they're just slabs right now.
Yeah, which brings up an interesting question, and I think I heard you kind of alluding to this, but I just kind of wanted to ask you very matter-of-factly, are we getting to a situation where only the lifestyles of the rich and famous are going to be able to live along the Texas coast? I heard you draw a contrast between the folks who live and work in Rockport and surrounding communities and those that own vacation homes who pay their rates and just kind of whatever.
I sure hope not.
Is that how it's going, though?
We're fighting as much as we can, but that's what we're starting to see. Right now, the City of Rockport, prior to Harvey, had a population we think of about 10,500. After Harvey, the next 2 years, we dropped down below 8,000 people. Approximately. Now, the last census shows us at 10,900 people. We've got 1,300 homes, single-family homes and apartments scheduled for construction in the next 24 months. Some of them are already under construction. In the county, we have 2 gated communities that are going to total 1,100 single-family units. So after Harvey, we were visited by people that had gone through Superstorm Sandy, that had gone through Katrina, elected officials and different people. They came through and they said, well, you're going to see the community pull together tremendously. You're going to see some people leave. You're going to see 3 to 5 years later, you're going to see a tremendous amount of growth and economic development. And that's what we're seeing right now. But it's forcing some of the people out that would like to live there. It's kind of interesting because I hunt with some folks out in West Texas, and all those West Texans say, you got to be crazy to live on the coast. You've got hurricanes come through there time after time after time. And I look at these fellows that live and work in Midland, and I say, where do you think all that oil you've got goes?
Yeah, not to mention the fact, where do they go when they want to come and enjoy some R&R?
They were at my house just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But they sit there and I ask them, what are you going to do with that oil if you don't pump it to the coast and have it refined? And you don't have it, that's where you're getting your money. You've got to think about that. And they go, well, okay, but I don't have to live there. But somebody's got to live there to do that work.
There you go.
If we don't have employees, if we don't have workers, we don't have the workforce there, things are going to change. If you look at the coast, and Chairman Hunter can tell you what's going on right now in the Corpus Christi area. There's billions and billions of dollars worth of investment in that area. There's the La Quinta Channel, the bridge, the port. Rockport is on the outside of that, on the outskirts of all that growth. But what we're going to be is a bedroom community for those people, and that's what we're starting to see now. It's going to help our school district. It's going to help our tax rates. We're able to hold them down right now, but it's difficult because of getting the right mix of people. You've got to have a diverse basis, in your community. You've got to have people from every walk of life.
And you mentioned that your homeowners insurance rates, which those are separate from TWIA, those are going up as well?
Yes, sir. We used to pay $1,000 a year. 2 years ago, it jumped up.
Why are they going up?
I have no idea. I've not had a claim.
Okay, well, I'm sure we got some people in here that can help us understand that. So it's not just the TWIA thing, but you're kind of
Right.
getting hit from
Now,
all sides.
I would understand if I'd built an addition to the house, or we put in a pool house or something like that, but we haven't changed anything.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's just a sign of the times. I think everything's going to go up, but we have to make sure that we are prudent in how we look at these increases, or we get something for it.
Yeah.
That's the difficult part.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Members, any questions? Chairman Hunter?
I just want to say, as Representative Morrison and I work with you all the time, and everybody listening, this gentleman here was on ground zero of Harvey. And as Representative Morrison and I saw, people were standing in lines and trying to get water and food. Mm-hmm. So you've heard from somebody that is a friend of ours, but actually saw what happens. And then he has to take the calls like we do on why rates are going.
Right.
So thanks for always being there.
Thank you.
Representative Thompson?
Yeah, Mayor, just real quick, you alluded a little bit to claims and some of the issues that, your folks had seen on that. And I wanted to ask you, as far as storm surge went, and dealing with an adjuster where you had a flood policy as well as a TWIA policy. Some of the feedback that I've gotten from policyholders is that's a very difficult dance, if you will, between the percentages of how much damage was done by flood or storm surge versus how much damage was done by wind. And I'm assuming that these adjusters were probably flood certified, so they could adjust the claim based on both policies. But was that an issue? Did you see a lot of that in this in your claim?
You basically had three different adjusters show up in Rockport after the storm. You had the TWIA adjusters, you had the FEMA flood insurance adjusters, and you had your homeowners, the regular homeowner policy adjusters. I've not heard of anyone that got any type of coverage out of their homeowner's policy. I know I have a farmer's insurance. They showed up, set up on a parking lot with a mobile home. I stopped in to see them. They came by, and they were quick to the site. I mean, they were there. I had to put them off because I didn't have time to meet them, so I didn't meet them for 4 or 5 days after the storm. Went through the house, came out and said, "Nope, none of this is ours. This is all hurricane." So while they were quick to get there, they were also really quick to deny any type of.
Probably why they were so quick to get there.
Well, they knew they weren't on the hook. I didn't have to use FEMA, but flood insurance, but some people did, and that was a process there also. And they have limitations, and their coverage is relatively inexpensive, right, but their limitations are there too. The difficult part was with some of the TWIA adjusters. They came through, again, different opinions, different recommendations by different people. And then part of the process, I was lucky because I have an insurance background, so I understood. Mm-hmm. I knew what to do, and I try to help as many people with that, but I can't get to everybody. So, but TWIA was very gracious. They came and set up in Rockport. They would meet with our folks. They'd sit there, but the big problem was getting everybody on the same page. Sometimes people would either request a different adjuster, or a different adjuster would be assigned to them, and they'd get another opinion. I know people that had 5 or 6 different adjusters through that. The next problem came with the claims analyst when it went into the shop and into TWIA and was going to be reviewed for coverages. I had one adjuster, but I had I think 3 different claims analysts, and had to start over from scratch with each one and tell the whole story again, make sure all the paperwork was filed correctly. It seemed like it was more of a delay.
What was the reason? Did they give you a reason why?
They just needed to be brought up to speed.
No, but I mean, why they were switching analysts in the office?
I think that was an internal piece, kind of like we went through with FEMA. They rotate through for so long. I think maybe as they got, I don't know for sure. I mean, that might be a question for Jeff. Okay. But they did change. I had 3 or 4 different adjusters, and in that case, there were also a couple different supervisors that were assigned, because sometimes the adjuster the analyst wasn't available, and they'd refer me to the supervisor, and it would be somebody other answer. But it was a process. None of those are easy to go through.
No,
But, I mean, it could be made a lot easier. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yes,
trying to
yeah,
get at was,
it could be made much, much easier. Again, I come from an insurance background, so I
Right.
know how to play the game.
Sure.
But so many of our people have no idea what's going on. I
Right.
know people that just threw their hands up and walked away. They quit. That's sad to think.
yeah. Okay, thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
Representative Paul?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mayor, after Hurricane Ike went through our area in Houston, it's the same thing. The people with the FEMA said it's wind. TWIA said it was rain, and people were getting nothing. And like you said, walking away, it was a very frustrating thing for some folk. I wanted to ask you real quick. I know this could be very anecdotal, but in our part of Harris County, we can't even buy our homeowners policy with a lower deductible. We have to have a pretty high deductible of at least 2 or 2.5%. Is there something similar? I'm just anecdotally. I mean, is that the same way with y'all? Since if you're in the TWIA or not, you still can't get.
We can buy different policy levels, but again, that's something that the typical consumer doesn't know about. I look at it like a $500 automobile deductible or a $1,000 automobile deductible. When they start quoting, some of these agents need to do a better job, because when they start quoting premium, they might not explain the difference when if and when something happens. So obviously everyone's looking at the less expensive premium. You'd rather pay, if they tell you can pay, $5,000 or $3,000, you're going to want to pay the $3,000, but you don't understand what you're missing.
Yeah, you're missing all that.
Yeah.
So you can buy a 1%
Yes.
deductible policy in your area.
Yes, yep.
All right, thanks.
Members, any other questions?
Again,
Mayor, we appreciate you. Thank you for
Thank you
being
for
here
allowing
and
us to be.
representing your constituents.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.